I'm moving quickly this morning because I have been waiting to speak to John U. Bacon again for the longest time now. He is in high demand. His most recent book, Fourth and Long, The Fight for the Soul of College Football. He teaches at the University of Michigan and at Northwestern. He's a prolific writer, does a lot of radio and media, and he knows the Wolverine football program frontwards and backwards. He's on the other end of our AT&T line this morning. Thanks for being available. Great to talk to you again.
Michael Patrick Shields, been a long time. Sorry about the delay. Good to be back.
Oh, thank you very much. You know, politics is our family business on this program. We speak to everyone from United States senators to governors and all down the line and so forth, presidential candidates and so forth. And I guess the question, the premise now is next week's election. Could next week's election determine the future of David Brandon and Brady Hoke?
And the answer is yes. An interesting conundrum here, and of course politics being the business at hand, it normally does not transcend that far into sports. Of course, this time it just might. Right now on the Michigan Board of Regents, which as you know is an 8-person board elected by state voters, and we'll all go to the polls, of course, a week from today, or from yesterday, I should say. Right now on the board, it's 6 Democrats and 2 Republicans, and all 6 Democrats seem very strongly to want Dave Brandon ousted, and the 2 Republicans do not. Now, I'll say in fairness to all the regions, I don't think it's merely a political issue. I think it's a matter partly of relationships, including those that go back 10, 20 years. Dave Brandon was a regent, of course, at Michigan from 98 to 2006, when a Democratic sweep, of course, got him out of office, ticket and all that. But I think that, nonetheless, that's where it stands. And right now, 2 Democrats will be leaving the board in January. So the Democrats cannot gain any seats this time around. They can only lose. So they lose 1 or 2. All of a sudden, your board goes from being 6-2 against Brandon to 5-3 against, or even 4-4 deadlock. Your President Schlitzel, all of a sudden now you've got 4 probably not so happy Democrats who are upset you did not act sooner, and 4 Republicans who probably will not let you act or be angry if you do act against Dave Brandon. So things have gotten a little funky on that side. I've never seen region politics transcend into the athletic director role, but I think it has this time.
It should be remembered that David Brandon at one time was thought of as a potential Republican candidate for governor, for what it's worth. But I suppose if you were a regent, you could fly a banner around Michigan Stadium against the Indiana game and say, if you want Brady Hoke out, vote for me. If you want Brady Hoke out, vote for me.
You know what? You could, because the only guy to decide Brady Hoke's fate is, of course, Dave Brandon. That vote is going to be 1-0 for or against Hoke at the end of the season. Not during the season. He will almost surely finish the season. And that decides Dave Brandon's fate is, of course, President Schlitzel, and that vote will also be 1-0 for or against. So it's not done by committee. It's not a democracy as such. But right now, Michigan athletics are getting so much attention nationwide. I mean, this fall, I've been on Al Jazeera twice talking about Michigan football, for crying out loud. This is weird. And one of the times I was on a show, a half-an-hour show with David Schuster, who's also a Michigan graduate, who had me on talking, let's see, before me there's a story on ISIS, Ebola, and Syria, followed by Michigan football. This is not the company you normally want to keep, I think, in college football, so that was a little strange.
David Brandon's supposed to be able to handle public relations very well, but it doesn't look that way. Let me ask you this rumor that I heard. Jim Harbaugh wants to come to Michigan and be the coach, but he doesn't want to work for David Brandon.
I can meet you partway on that one.
Yeah.
I know Jim fairly well. We're the same age, actually. And we grew up in Ann Arbor together in the 70s, playing hockey against him and baseball with him, and I still am in some touch with him over there even the last few years. It is basically a fact, 95%. He will not come to Ann Arbor with Dave Brandon as the AD. So now, of course, that can always change. Perhaps if you dangle an obscene amount of money, maybe that changes. I don't know. But right now, it seems very unlikely. As far as interest in the job, I would say that he will always be interested in Michigan. How much the Niners will come back with, or the Oakland Raiders, another NFL team, is not clear. So there's no guarantee that Michigan can get Jim Harbaugh with or without Dave Brandon. It is a guarantee that with Dave Brandon, you will not get Jim Harbaugh. And think about this also. That's not necessarily to be focused on Dave. Part of it perhaps is. But anybody taking any job, it's unlikely to get hired by a guy who might not be there in 2 months. So I think that anybody in that situation would have to think twice.
Well, just think about Tom Izzo when he was thinking of going to the Cleveland Cavaliers, but he wanted to know, is LeBron James going to be there or not? On the other end of our line, too, John Bacon, is Ron Weiser, the former ambassador to Slovakia, candidate for University of Michigan Regents. Welcome to the program, Ambassador.
Thank you. I do hope it becomes 5-3 or 4-4.
I'm sure you do.
Speaking objectively.
And what's your reaction to? I'm sure you guys know each other. What's your what's your reaction to what you're hearing, Ambassador Weiser?
Well, look, this is obviously a bigger issue than just the football team. This is about policies of the university, traditions. It's about the interaction of the athletic department with the university community, which really is probably the heart of the issue. And this is, as was just said, this is an issue that has to be solved by the new president of the university. It's unfortunate that he walks into this, because his background with athletics has been pretty limited, but he's certainly learning fast and under fire. And I do believe it is non-political. I do believe that regents have a responsibility to give their opinions, give their input to the president of the university, but I also believe then that whatever decision he makes needs to be supported by them and not second-guessed. So he was hired by that 62 majority, and hopefully they will support whatever decision he makes. I know if I am a regent, that is something that I will do.
If you are a regent and you can vote for Ron Weiser next Tuesday when you get to the ballot, anyone listening right now across the state, he's a former chair of the Michigan Republican Party. Do you support David Brandon?
I don't support or not support anyone who doesn't work for me. I believe that, again, I'm going to go back to it, the decision's the president. And I wouldn't even want to make a comment on it because I don't think it's fair. I think it's any comment I would have if I was a regent would be to the president. And then it has to be his decision, and I wouldn't ever want to do anything to undermine what that decision is.
John Bacon, the author of Fourth and Long, The Fight for the Soul of College Football, New York Times bestseller, will give you the final word, 15 seconds.
Well, strange times are these, but I do have a sense that Michigan tends to land on its feet, and I bet that it will this time as well. I think that President Schlissel is a smart guy who is known for his integrity and known for, quote-unquote, getting it, and I suspect that he'll do what's right for the university.